It is changing the face of Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, and now the Bronx. We're talking about gentrification, right? A hot button issue here in New York. Earlier this week, Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams really struck a nerve with his comments, but many people on both sides of the issue didn't like what he had to say. Let's play it for you.
Folks are not only hijacking your apartments and displacing your living arrangements, they displace your conversations and said the things that are important to you are no longer important, and they decide what's important and what's not important. Go back to Iowa, you go back to Ohio. New York City belongs to the people that was here and made New York City what it is.
So the Brooklyn Borough President joining us this morning for a conversation about an issue that really hits so close to home for so many of us. So good morning and thank you for coming in today to really clarify some of these comments. Did you go too far in these remarks? Because you seem fired up.
No, not fired up. Anyone who has followed me throughout the years know I'm a passionate person. I believe in what I'm saying. And it's not about you saying something to run for mayor. No, this is what I believe in. And also, I thought it was irresponsible by some of our local tabloids to say he was using hidden racist code. Black people are from Iowa. Cleveland is 53% black. And it was about the issues on the ground and what gentrification is doing. And it's not just the apartments. We have those who are coming into this city that are using city agencies to go after legitimate businesses, displacing individuals. And when you look at what's happening in this city and how it's changing in a way, it's really unfair to the people who have been here.
But do you regret saying go back to? That kind of language is what people are seeing as divisive. In fact, we have a tweet from one of our viewers who said being a New Yorker is really about embracing people from all over the world, whether it be Iowa or India. This has always been and always will be in the city in flux. We don't need someone that spews this sort of divisiveness as mayor. Did you see that as divisive, and are you sorry for the language used?
No. I would say that the terminology could have been better laid out, but the substance of what I was saying was solid. And although there are tweets that are saying we don't like what Eric is saying, all my colleagues that were interviewed said the same thing. We would have said it differently, but Eric is right, because they know what they're hearing from their constituency. You look at simply Fernando Mateo, had a beautiful club up in Washington Heights, put $6 million in the club. New people moved into the community. They saw the traffic. They had to police 10 blocks out from his club, block all the traffic to his club, destroyed his business, and he had to close his business. 300 people lost their jobs. That's the same thing that's happening in Brooklyn. We're seeing a displacement of not only apartments, we're seeing a displacement of black businesses and Hispanic businesses in the city.
But why is that? It's not because of people coming from Iowa or Ohio. In fact, I think they crunched the numbers. There was only 200, in fact, that moved from Ohio into your borough of Brooklyn. Why is there a problem there? Is it the real estate that is being built up, and people just can't afford that kind of real estate?
No, it's more than that. And that's what's so important. So I'm glad you're asking that question. This is not about apartments, and this was an entire speech. It's unfortunate. People should download the whole speech. And when you look at the whole speech, you hear what I'm saying. This is not about apartments. It's a displacement of the things that people feel are important. Like when I had young mothers who had their babies bitten by rats, and I found a device to stop these children from bitten by rats. Those who came out and say, how dare you kill rats, even at the expense of these babies. We have schools in our community where it's 85% black, but you have all white students in one classroom. We're in a segregated city, and we can't ignore that. So my bad use of a terminology is forcing us to engage in this real conversation that this is taking place in our living rooms, but we need to now engage in it.
You're bringing up issues of race, but you said gentrification is not about race and it's not about color, it's about a mindset. So how are you differing those two?
It is about a mindset, because when you come to a community like Harlem and you want to change the name of the community to NoHo, you're disrespecting the people who were there for so long.
Understood.
When you target particular businesses, when you use city services and resources, the police department, the state liquor authority, to go after businesses because you're smart and savvy, you use social media to target particular areas. This is what's happening on the ground. I was trying to find my accountant the other day. I called him for 2 weeks, couldn't reach him. Finally, I reached him and said, I was trying to catch you. He says, Eric, I'm in a homeless shelter now. They doubled my rent. I can no longer afford to live in my community. This is happening to grandmothers, teachers, everyday people who were in these communities.
Real quick before we go, I just want to ask you one more question, a little bit off topic here, and it involves your race for mayor. There was an article that came out the other day in the newspaper about Shirlane McCray running to run for borough president, that you had met with the mayor to discuss endorsing her in return for an endorsement from him. Did any of that happen?
So silly. Never met with him, never spoke with her, never spoke with him, never had the conversation at all.
Would you endorse her?
She, like every other candidate, is going to sit down, have a conversation with me. I need to see the platform, the continuation, what I've been doing in Brooklyn around health, around education, around technology. That is important to me. And if she could present a better agenda, then I'm open to do so.
Thank you for
coming in. But it never happened.
Okay, got it. Thank you for coming in. I think, what's happening in New York City is a story here and something that needs to continue to be discussed.
Yes.
Vanishing New York. Mom and pop shops that are disappearing in neighborhoods all across the 5 boroughs because of rising rents.
Exactly.
That's part of the problem here.
Yes, it is.
That hopefully you and other officials will address.
Yes.
Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you. Always good seeing you.